Hey, I'm not surprised, motherfuckers.
What's up, guys? Welcome to Courtside Soundoff podcast. Today, I'm Josh Evanoff. He's Angel Ortega. A lot of stuff to talk about today, guys. I mean, we got Bellator, we got UFC, we got OneNBA, boxing, the whole slate. We got everything to talk about in this show. However, before we get into that, Angel, have you heard the news, man?
About what, Josh? Tell me.
Have you heard the news that support for the Courtside Soundoff podcast is brought to you by Manscaped, who is the best in men's below-the-waist grooming? Manscaped offers precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. They obsess over technology development to provide you the best tools for your grooming experience. Manscaped is trusted by over 2 million men worldwide. We have an exclusive offer for our listeners, 20% off, plus free shipping with the code Courtside20. Manscaped.com. Angel, it's a huge deal, man. I know that you haven't heard about this before. This is breaking news on the show. But I mean, look, man, it's big news. They're a great company, and which once again, guys, get 20% off and free shipping with the code Courtside20 at Manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at Manscaped.com. Use the code Courtside20. Unlock your confidence and always use the right tools for the job with Manscaped. You know who probably uses Manscaped? Francis Ngannou. And new heavyweight champion of the world last Saturday night at the UFC Apex in Las Vegas, Nevada, putting it on the champion, as the UFC broadcast said 7,000 times on the broadcast, the consensus greatest heavyweight of all time, Stipe Miocic. Let's go and say, man, he dominated him. It was tough to watch. Came out in the first round. He was putting it on Stipe early. Stipe shot for a takedown, and Francis didn't only stuff the takedown. He reversed position, got back control, and I was like, in my head, I was like, oh, yeah, he's fucked. That's it. And then, obviously, in the second round, came out firing shots, hurt him up against the cage, dropped him once. Stipe tried to recover, put him out cold. His leg went backwards, Crow Cop style. Brutal knockout, and new Francis Ngannou of Cameroon. Angel, my man. It was brutal to watch. We've been talking about this moment for years now about Ngannou finally reaching the mountaintop, finally getting that title. What were your thoughts on the fight on Saturday?
I mean, dude, I expect the perfect way it could have gone was this exact way, and I was so confident. I'm like, there was just a lot of things that I don't know, and it's not to be disrespectful to Stipe. I don't know why a lot of people had faith in Stipe winning again. I don't know why. And there was a lot of fighters who were backing him up. There was a lot of analysts who were backing him up. I felt like the media was probably Ngannou, and probably the most analysts and fighters were Stipe. And then there was, a few mixed in between, right? But I felt like that was kind of the general consensus. And it was like, look, the guy hasn't been training that long during the first fight. He's coming in with, more experience. He knows what he has to fix. He's capable of finishing any man you put in front of him. He just needs the time and develop the skills. And obviously, Stipe is older, man. In the time that he's fighting and defending the title, he's aging and he's I wouldn't say getting worse, but not progressing any more than what he's at already. Maybe IQ, but outside of that, what else, right? Mm-hmm. Obviously, those things that your youth gives you will go away with time, and with that time, Ngannou's getting better. So it was only given time that it was going to happen, and then he goes in there, man, and when I saw him stuff that takedown, I'm like, it's over. That's all I needed to see. It was over at that moment. I probably could have walked away from my TV screen, gone and taken a shit, and came back and been confident if the fight ended, and seen them like go to the decision or go to the scorecard or whatever, not even know what happened, and know that Ngannou won. That's how confident I was in that moment, Josh.
Exactly. Seeing that moment and just him stuffing the first takedown. And not only stuffing the first takedown, which, it's early on, they're dry, it's a couple minutes into the fight, not that surprising. The reversing position, getting back control, and landing some bombs, I'm like, man, he's fucked. It's over, man.
That looked bad, didn't it?
Yeah, it looked real bad. Just the optics. I mean, it was early into the fight. I'm like, ooh, man, it's going to be a rough night for Stipe. And it ended up being about as terrible of a night you could possibly have inside the cage. This is not a DC1, they're trading early. and he gets rocked and stopped early. It's not Struve fight where he's winning and then eye poke happens. This is not a JDS back and forth war. For the first time in Stipe Miocic's illustrious career, as they said on the broadcast 7,000 times, the consensus greatest heavyweight of all time, in the UFC anyways. He got his ass kicked terribly. It was just a complete destruction. He's one of the greatest of all time. It was tough to see him go out that way. Angel, I know you were happy you busted out the champagne to finally see your brother in Ngannou go ahead and finally get his moment out there. It was crazy, man. So shout out Ngannou. So I'll ask you this question. What do you want to see for him next? Because there's so many different possibilities at heavyweight. There's a certain fight out there lingering, which almost immediately, I mean, we heard all in the lead-up that it was John Jones who's going to fight the winner of this fight. Almost immediately, they got shut down. So who do you think he'll fight next, and who do you want to see him against next?
I want to see Derek Lewis. I want to see the rematch, dude. I want to see the two probably baddest men in the heavyweight division right now go at it and bang. I want to see what Ngannou does this time. After coming, is he going to be too confident? I want to see how he deals with being champ, man. Because it's hard getting there, but once you're there, it's a different story, right? That's when the real challenges start happening. That's when the people are coming after you. You're not chasing something anymore. I want to see him defend his title at heavyweight. The Jones fight can happen at some point, but Ngannou's the A side right now. Actually, not even the Ngannou. The UFC's the A side right now. You're the B side because they can give the fight to anybody below you right now in the heavyweight division and pay them less. We're not worried about your ass right now and what you have to deal with. You can fucking wait while Ngannou defends the title.
Yeah, man, it's a tough. Here's the thing. I also want to see the Derek Lewis fight, and I dislike seeing a lot of. Here's the thing. As a journalist, I'm somebody who's obviously going to school for journalism. I'm somebody who's always I'm on the side of the fighters 99.9% of the time in terms of fighter pay, in terms of any sort of disputes, because UFC is a $1 billion company. I think sticking up for any $1 billion company is really stupid. I think a lot of the fake, like the whole love, like the journalists are giving to John Jones right now, is really stupid and fake in terms of yeah, man, if there's anybody who deserves it, it's him. And it's I mean, the UFC, you can't act like this is a one-sided dynamic where the UFC is just robbing John Jones blind. I mean, they've done a lot of shit for this dude, where it's almost like I get why they don't want to give him this massive payday when he's tested positive for steroids 6 times, had fights moved from venue to venue to venue, his commissions won't clear him, or because of his legal issues where he's gotten a DUI 2 or 3 times, or so on and so forth, where it's like the UFC in their head, they're probably like, oh, this fight may not even happen. Or if he wins, he might test positive for steroids. So at the same point, if I'm in the UFC, I'm making the Derek Lewis fight. Honestly, I am. Do I think this fight will get made at some point? Yes. Probably. I'll say that as well. I think there's too much money involved. Do I think it's next? No, I think we're going to see Derek Lewis next, and damn, dude, I'm happy about it.
I'm excited.
I think if they ran that fight, Lewis and Ngannou 100 times, we got the worst fight possible back in 226.
110%.
110%, man. I think if they run that back again, I think it's gonna be awesome, and I think it's a pick 'em, honestly, because we obviously know Derek Lewis has that one-shot power too, and Ngannou, it's the only guy I think that at that weight class can make him think, I might not want to rush in on this dude. Like, he can crack me, he can put me out. Derek Lewis is that dude, and he beat him last time just by virtue of doing slightly more. I don't think that's gonna happen this time around. I'm excited to see it. We'll see what happens though. Moving on to the co-main, my man. We've been talking about Vicente Luque for a long time, kind of as the dark horse at 170. I don't know what a win over Tyron Woodley in 2021 does for you in terms of raising your status, but if this was his fight, he to go ahead and test himself and to get him past that kind of glass ceiling, he broke that shit, dude. First round submission win over T. Wood. First time Tyron Woodley has been submitted in his career. We'll give him props. We'll give him credit. He came out firing. Nearly finished Luque, who has a chin made of adamantium. Luque weathered the storm, got the submission win in the first. What do you think about that fight, man?
Dude, I was in, early on when they came out firing, because we're like, he needs to pull the trigger, right? And he came out hot, man. He came out real hot, and I was impressed. It was looking good, and then it wasn't looking good, and then he cracks Luque, and then Luque cracks him back, and then they're both cracked. And I don't know if they were both hurt at one point. I couldn't even tell anymore. Mm-hmm. I mean, like you said, the chin, and I brought that up. I was like, look, you can say Woodley can try to, crack him and hurt him and anything, but I'm like, look, Luka has a chin, bro. He can crack and get cracked. So you saw that night. I did not expect a submission. I thought it was going to be a decision fight, maybe even like a late finish by Luque, but it ended up being a first round submission that ended up winning fight of the night. Josh, did you know that?
I did know that,
it was a 1 round fight that ended up being fight of the night.
Mm.
I mean, I would disagree with it. I would disagree with it. It was really entertaining. But yeah, no, Luque moves up to 6 now, actually ahead of Michael Chiesa, who's now at 7. Woodley down at 10 now. I don't know what they're gonna. I mean, dude, what are they doing to these poor men like Tyron Woodley and Robbie Lawler? They should have both those guys fight. I think that'd be a banger.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. As far as matchup, Josh, what you feeling, man? I love the performance. I thought he looked good. It's hard to get this guy fights because no one wants to fight him. He moved up 4 spots in the rankings. He's going to come out here and bang. I feel like Jorge Masvidal and Sente Luque fight would have been great if they could have done that. I feel like...
You know what fight would have been dope? His call-out, Nate Diaz. But Nate's fighting in one of the craziest fights I've ever heard of next month that came out of left field. Like... That's a fight I would have loved to see.
Nate Diaz just pulled the greatest heist of all time. I mean, it's up there with, I don't even know what you want to call it, but it's up there, dude.
Dude, I'm so excited for that fight. I know this is kind of like going off the rails in terms of like the recap, but dude, if you guys don't know, Nate Diaz, UFC 262, obviously up for Houston, Texas. Second fight with fans. And just out of nowhere, I'm asleep, man. I wake up to the news. Nate Diaz is taking on Leon Edwards. And not only that, that's not that surprising of a matchup because, the UFC said they're going to take care of Leon after, obviously fighting a guy in Bilal Muhammad, super low ranked, really did nothing for him. Nate Diaz, 5 rounds, man. 5 rounds. First 5-round co-main with no title on line in UFC history. I'm psyched about it. But in terms of Luque, man, he's kind of in a bad position right now. He's in a bad division, I'll actually say. Because here's the truth, man. Nobody at that top level wants to fight anybody. It just kind of... Colby doesn't want to fight unless it's for the title. Jorge didn't want to fight unless it's for the title. Gilbert just lost. He's taking time off.
And they're going to fight each other because they train together.
Wonderboy doesn't want to fight down because he's been fighting down. He's fought 2 dudes ranked below him. You know what I mean? Like, it's a shitty division at the top right now. Mm-hmm. So I feel bad for Luque. I mean, I'd like to see him fight... He has to fight somebody ranked above him because he's always been fighting dudes below, you know what I mean? Like, maybe Chiesa would make sense, but Chiesa, and you can argue he deserves a title shot right now, too, just because how many dudes he's beaten in such a dominant fashion. Like, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, no. Before we know it, we'll see probably Luque fight like Damian Maia, who, it's been like, 2 years almost now since Damian Maia fought, it feels like.
Oh, man, who did he last... Didn't he last lose to Gilbert Burns?
He lost to Gilbert Burns. He got finished by Burns.
Yeah, damn, man. It's been a while. I feel bad for Maia.
What do you think he's going to retire, dude? Maia's like 40 and still ranked somehow.
He's said after his next fight.
All right. Yeah, no, bro. I'm not trying to be disrespectful to any of these guys, but I feel like Maia, Woodley, and Lawler are guys who have to get moved out of their rankings at some point.
I love Robbie Lawler. I have no idea how Robbie's ranked at all.
Yeah, I know.
It's been 3 pretty rough. Is it 3 losses in a row? 4 losses in a row. 5 is the last 6. In those 4 losses, outside of the Askren one, he wasn't even competitive.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm telling you. I feel like Woodley Lawler would be a good fight. Shit, even Maia Lawler would be a good fight.
I think Woodley Lawler is a fight to make just because still waiting on them to pull the trigger. Although T Wood pulled the trigger, though. I'll give him credit.
Hey, dude, though, it's like a sacrifice. Whoever loses gets kicked out, the other one stays, dude. Like, not trying to be mean, but it almost kind of makes it.
Yeah, I mean, true enough. Woodley's gone, though. I mean, that was the last fight of his deal.
Damn. Okay. Do you think Bellator's ready for him? No. I'm
yeah, I'd say so. Well, I like Bellator's. We'll talk about Bellator in a minute, but I like their welterweight division a lot. They just released rankings, so we can go over that too. But yeah, man, just go ahead and shuffle along down the card. Sean O'Malley, man, your boy, Sugar Show, back in stock, knocking out Thomas Almeida, dominance. I'll say this, man, Thomas Almeida. He looked better than what he has looked recently. Mm-hmm. Just in terms of like, it felt like anytime Thomas Almeida faced any sort of adversity in his recent fights, he's kind of, I don't want to say he's quit, but he's gone through it, man. He's gone through it. O'Malley, he did not give him a chance to breathe. Just pure dominance. What do you think about his win?
Yeah, I thought it looked great. I Almeida stayed in it, man. I mean, when Sean had that first, I think, what was it, first round? Maybe he knocked him down,
Yeah.
walked off, thought he finished him. I mean, I didn't think it was over that moment because I was like, I think he might still be in there. But he probably could have got the finish there if he tried. Shout out to Almeida for staying in it, taking a lot of unnecessary damage on his part, but that's how it goes. Uh, like I said, man, I think it's just the guy was very talented, but or is very talented. It's just that the chin has gone, and but I mean, also regardless, he did perform well enough there where the chin wasn't the whole factor, Good fight for Sean. I know a lot of people had Almeida though, or had a lot of faith in Almeida, but nope, it was all the sugar show. Looked good, he did a great job, and he makes his way up.
Yeah, man. Shout out Sugar Sean O'Malley getting back in the win column. As far as the two fights opening up the main card, definitely good win for some prospects. Miranda Maverick obviously picking up a nice win over Jillian Robertson. She's now ranked in the top 15. And then Jamie Malarkey, man, getting a nice knockout win over Kama Worthy. Pretty out of left field, but it was a nice win. What were your thoughts on those fights opening up the main card?
Let me say right here, James Malarkey, dude, I did not expect that he came back after, I think it was his debut, which did end up going his way, and perform, man. I mean, what else do you want out of a guy, right? And obviously Miranda Maverick, a very good young talent, getting a big win again, man, with I wouldn't say a big name, but a name in that division, not necessarily, not necessarily a biggest name, but someone who's known in the division.
Well, I mean, I've been saying for a long time this girl's a lot of talent, so I'm glad to get on the ground floor. That's the cool thing about covering Invicta. So yeah, she got a nice win back, and she's now in the top 15. Jamie Markey, dude, like you said, really out of nowhere, pretty out of left field. I mean, this guy 0-2 in the UFC. If he lost here, probably out of the promotion, I'd say. Huge win, and really sucks for Kama Worthy, man. I mean, this is a dude who had a great story. He could still come back, but we'll see what happens. In 2 knockout losses in a row, that's tough. As far as the rest of the card, my man, what'd you think?
I mean, it was an alright card. I mean, for what it was worth. I think for me, the one that impressed me the most was the Alonzo Menifield's first round submission against Fabi Sharan. I know Fabi Sharan was coming in on short notice, but I did not think his win would become via submission.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I still got a lot of faith in Alonzo Menifield, man. I mean, I know that he's 33. He's not some young cat to the game. You know what I mean? I know he's been in the game for 6 years at this point, but he still has a lot of great finishing ability, and at 205, that's really all you need. So once he can kind of work on his grappling, work on his gas tank, I'd love to see him face some of those top guys again. As far as other fights, Akubard Nurmagomedov getting a nice win. Michelle Oleochuk getting back on the win column. This dude I had a lot of hope for. A couple of fights in the UFC because he got 3 straight wins. Khalil Roundtree, Gian Vellante, and Antagulov. Had 2 rough losses in a row, Crute and St. Preux, but he's back in the win column now. As far as that goes, man, it was a good card, but definitely a more of a 3-fight card, so to speak. The top 3 on the card, definitely with the big draws. And man, we got no UFC this week. No UFC this week. They'll be
Sadly.
back. They'll be back next week with a card that I've stressed to you that I'm not that excited for. But after that, we got 261, so it's all good.
Right?
Yeah, man. Anyways, well, actually, 261 that'd be the week after. Then we got
Whitaker
Gastelum. That's a banger too. But dude, it's the other promotions. The number 2 and 3 promotions taking center stage this upcoming week, and then also today, a Friday card from Bellator. Bellator 255. I was on Media Row for this one. Ted did the pre-fight presser and the post-fight presser, which would be after the event.
You were front and center, Josh.
I'm the hardest working man, MMA Media. Don't even at me.
Yeah, John Morgan, where you at?
Huh?
I said, John Morgan, where you at?
John Morgan, where you at? Motherfucker. John Morgan, dude, also pound for pound. Everybody hates him because he always gets the first question. One of the nicest dudes in MMA Media. Straight up. You got to give a shout out to John Morgan, dude. But outside of that, man, huge Bellator show got going on. First one on Showtime. The first one on Showtime. First one of the year. And no better fight to kick it off, man. Patricio Pitbull Fillier taking on Emmanuel Sanchez. This is the rematch of a fight that happened back in 2018. And And overall, man, that fight was a banger back in the day. They were fighting in Israel, the first UFC, first Bellator card in Israel. I'm
That's
stuck
pretty
on it,
cool.
man. We always talk about UFC. But dude, this is a great fight. Emmanuel Sanchez, number 2 in the rankings. Pitbull, obviously, he's kind of replacing Chandler as that face of Bellator. Chandler was always the face of Bellator. He's been there since the beginning. So is Pitbull, man. He's been there since Bellator 15. Huge name in terms of amazing wins. Wilson Hayes, Daniel Strauss, Pat Curran, Daniel Weichel, Henry Corrales, Emmanuel Sanchez, obviously, and then Michael Chandler, Juan Archuleta. A bunch of amazing wins, and now they got this rematch going on, man. I know that you're still not as caught up on Bellator. I know you're still getting into the groove. Would you have got this fight being kind of the main one to open up Bellator's 2021 slate?
I mean, who else would you want, right? Two guys are coming off a close fight, right? The consensus thought on that fight is, the guy who won the 5th round won the fight, which ended up Patricio Pitbull winning the 5th round. And also, dude, it's free. It's literally on YouTube. I'm watching it as we're talking right now, Josh.
Yeah, man. It's elite. It's live. It's free. It's great.
I'm a big fan of it. There's a lot of names I like on here. Josh is really excited for the next Bellator card, but I got really hyped when I saw the names that got announced for this card.
Yeah, man. You make it sound like I'm shitting on this card, man.
You're not shitting on it by any means.
You're just more. This card a lot.
You just like the next card more than this card, but this card is still really good.
I would say so. I'm very excited for next week's main and co-main. However, this week's main and co-main is amazing as well. Obviously, Pitbull, and then obviously the co-main we'll talk about in a minute. But man, we're doing Bellator predictions, my guy. It's 2021. It's a brand new year.
Let's go, champ.
We're on the media thing now. Who do you see coming out on top between Pitbull and Sanchez, the rematch?
Dude, let me tell you this. So the one thing I have kind of done my research on and kind of looked into it, Emmanuel Sanchez, man, a guy who's grown since that loss, got rid of that little bit of baby fat on him right now. You look at him now, it almost looks like a slightly different human being, but still the same guy. Mm-hmm. The guy has a great mentality when it comes to the sport. He's really, if you look at Tapology rankings, they don't have him ranked that high, man. But this guy is a guy who could come into any. If you did pound for pound, you take out the names, no UFC, no ONE FC, no nothing like that, no Bellator. This guy's right up there with the featherweights, right? And same with Patricio Pitbull. Some people would even have him at number 1 over the legs of Alexander Volkanovski and Brian Ortega, which I actually don't have a big issue with. Even when I love those guys, even when I love one of those guys, I'm not gonna say who.
Oh God.
Patricio Pitbull is a great matchup if any of those guys were able to fight. And he's not very tall, dude. He's 5'5", is what he's listed at. Probably like 5.5 or closer to 5'6". Carries great power, good jiu-jitsu. The way I think this fight's going to go is kind of Emmanuel Sanchez coming into this fight. Okay, it's round 6. We're still going. We're not done, motherfucker. You know what I mean? We're still going off. This is a 10-rounder. First 10-rounder, and who knows how many years. That's I feel like that's his mentality going into this fight. I think he'll have a good performance. I feel like if he does kind of get it, it'll have to be a very slick, split decision performance. I'm sure it will be very tight, unless Patricio comes out here with some confidence from his last big win. I mean, this is the guy, dual weight champion. He's the lightweight champ, Josh. He's on some fucking, double champ shit right now. Mm-hmm. And I forgot this, but they're making their way through the tournament right now. They're in the middle of a Grand Prix, aren't they?
They are. Winner of this is going to go ahead and fight in the finals, my guy.
They're fighting
against the absolute GOAT, AJ McKee, who, for my money, is the greatest fighter outside of the UFC.
Yes. Also a very talented guy. And the thing is, yeah, dude, that's not an easy fight either. These guys are putting on great shows. I think Patricio comes out on top. Right, I think he's carrying all the energy, all the names, and and his power will be good in the later rounds. And I feel like that showed in the initial fight in the Emmanuel Sanchez fight. Like, you can only eat so many shots before they start getting to you, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man, it's definitely. So if you guys did not watch the first fight, basically it came out. Pitbull was firing off early, nearly finished him. Ended up being Sanchez's fight down the stretch. I agree with your idea that he's kind of looking as like a 6th round. Sanchez thinks he's improved a lot, and I think you could see it in his recent wins. I mean, he dominated Taiwan Claxton, who is a guy that I personally had a lot of. I didn't pick him to win that fight going in, but he had a lot of potential, still does, and is a very explosive guy, and he just dominating from bell to bell, get the submission. He also has wins over Georgi Karyahanan. Daniel Weichel beat last November. I'm going to go Pitbull, man. I definitely think this is kind of his fight. Sanchez has that. Here's the thing, right? I'd say Patricio has him in literally every single category, but there's some things you can't teach in MMA, and it's just that hunger and that desire. Emmanuel Sanchez is one of those dudes who's never going to say die. And you saw that in that first fight, dude. He took some fucking punishment. He took some huge shots. Still kept on moving, kept on going. I think it's going to be a decision again. And I'm going to go Pitbull, dude, but do not be surprised if we're sitting here at the end of the night talking about Emmanuel Sanchez being featherweight champ of the world.
Wouldn't that be crazy?
Yeah, and also, dude, like I said earlier, AJ McKee, dude. That's what I'm more excited for. The winner of this is going to face AJ McKee, number one, contender featherweight, number one ranked guy, I should say. That's a dude who, dude, I love Bellator. That's a guy I wish was in the UFC, dude. Straight up. Because just seeing his evolution as a fighter, obviously he's the son of the great Antonio McKee, who's just, he has a great camp behind him. Only 25. He's been fighting in Bellator since he's been 19, dude. And he's 17-0, dominating dudes, Darren Caldwell, Derek Campos, Georgia Karihani, and Pat Curran. He's looking phenomenal. So I cannot wait to see the winner of this take on Adrian McKee. But moving on, man, to the co-main event, Neiman Gracie, Jason Jackson. This one is I'd say it's flying under the radar. Neiman Gracie obviously ranked number 3 at welterweight. Jason Jackson, I believe, ranked number 6. Don't quote me on that, though. Obviously, Jackson coming off of a nice win over Benson Henderson. And Neiman Gracie, 10-1, wins over John Fitch, Ed Ruth, Rudy Bear, so on and so forth. Only lost to Rory McDonald. And that was, I thought he was going to win that fight, too. But regardless, dude with a lot of potential in his career. Who do you think is going to come out on top in the co-main, my man?
Man, Neiman Gracie, Jason Jackson, man, dude, much love to Jason Jackson, right? Coming off a big win off Benson Henderson. I'm sure that's kind of like he needed. I feel like up to this point he needed that name, right? And that's a big name. That's a victory he should be very proud of, man. Neiman Gracie though is pretty much clearing the Gracie name right now across all MMA. No disrespect to Crone, no disrespect to any of the Gracie family, but he really is kind of like the one last surviving guy right now, right? Who's kind of putting in the work and putting up the performances. Jason Jackson I like a lot. I feel like Neiman Gracie, he has a very different style of jiu-jitsu typically from when we see the Gracies, where it isn't too takedown based. He has a lot more trips and setups like that. He'll push you up against the fence, or he'll try to trip you like that. He's not going to go for the takedown and get caught in some weird kind of position. Obviously, Jason Jackson, I'm sure, I know he has some sort of jiu-jitsu, but it's not going to be to the level of Neiman Gracie. And, probably his best, obviously, and for any guy who's fighting a jiu-jitsu guy, obviously your best bet is keeping it on the feet. But granted, that's avoiding clinches and avoiding takedowns. It's avoiding a lot of things, right? I feel like I favor Neiman Gracie a lot here. His only loss coming to Roy McDonald, a very talented Roy McDonald who, man, do we still wish we had that guy around in the UFC. But, hey, man. That's how it goes. He's doing his thing over here in Bellator. I think I'm picking Neiman Gracie on this one.
Yeah, I'm also going to go Neiman Gracie. As far as it goes, he needed that name value in getting a win over Benson, who, let's be honest, Benson's a lightweight who just does not like to cut weight sometimes. That's why he's been fighting, and he's been testing the waters at welterweight. But at lightweight, he's a top 5 guy in Bellator. Yeah, man, I'm hyped to see this fight. I'm also going to go Neiman Gracie, though. I think it's going to be a nice win to get him back into contention. I really wanted to see Neiman Gracie versus MVP. They talked about doing that. And for some reason, even Neiman Gracie at the media day, he was like, I'm not sure why I'm fighting Jason Jackson. Even he was like, I'm not sure why. It seems like they're probably going to do MVP versus Lima next, which is what I've heard. Is
that for the belt?
We'll see what happens, man. I mean, MVP's ranked number 1. I don't like that, but I thought Yaroslav Amosov should have been ranked number 1. But regardless, man, it was the first Bellator rankings. They just got released, so you guys should go check those out. But as far as the rest of the card, man, we got a lot to talk about. So go ahead and point out some of those fights that are people that are only listening to this for UFC talk that they may be wanting to tune into, but they should watch.
Oh, okay. Here, let me start from not so far at the bottom, but the 7th fight of the night, man. Magomed, dude. This man is the only man to officially defeat Piotr Yan, man. Think about it.
What do you mean?
This guy's he actually got a decision win over the guy. Crazy, right?
Okay, all right.
I saw both fights. Both fights were bangers. And this guy's someone extremely talented. Obviously, like I said, fought Piotr, who was a former UFC champ. So you can only imagine what his capabilities will be at bantamweight within Bellator. I think it won't be very long before we see this guy with the strap around him potentially at some point.
Mm-hmm.
And then another one, kind of Watanabe, man. We've been having all the hype, man. It's finally gonna happen. She's finally gonna fight officially for Bellator, not through Ryzen. I believe was the time she first kind of fought for them, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's another one. And then obviously we gotta do the Nurmagomedov clan, man. Usman making his debut in Bellator, right?
Yeah.
Who's not excited for that? I mean, we already know what they're capable of. We know what the clan can do. I'm excited for that one.
Mm-hmm. Underrated banger on the card. Let me just go ahead and tell you. Well, obviously, you did not point out the boy Roger Huerta. You guys don't know, a lot of you New Age fans, Roger Huerta was basically one of the first, I don't want to say one of, yeah, fuck it, I'll say it. One of the first real stars for the UFC, dude. He was phenomenal. He beat guys like Leonard Garcia, Clay Guida, Melvin Gillard. He started off as 21-1. And he started talking about fighter pay, and then they threw him to Kenny Florin and Gray Maynard and got cut. And I thought he beat Gray Maynard too. And then he went off to Bellator. He's fought in one. Now he's 37. He's kind of had up and down recently. Came back to Bellator in 2018, lost to Benson Henderson, Patricky Freite, and a banger of a fight. If you guys never saw that fight back in 2018, go look that one up. That was a banger fight. Lost to Sidney Outlaw back in 2019. First fight in 2 years. He's back taking on, I believe, I don't know his record off the top of my head, but I believe Chris Gonzalez at a catch weight of 160. Chris Gonzalez, I believe, is undefeated. Not as experienced. We'll see what happens, man. And then also underrated banger, Alejandro Lara versus taking on Kana Watanabe. 9-0, taking on Alejandro Lara, who's 9-3. Lara's been kind of one of those Bellator mainstays where it's like she probably should go to the UFC because she has a lot of potential, but she's kind of one of those fighters they picked up as like whenever she was younger. They kind of just groomed her to kind of be one of those main stars. She did lose to Eliminating McFarlane and Juliana Vasquez, who's the 1 and 2 in the division. But she picked up 2 wins in a row, ranked number 4. We'll see what happens, my man. Overall, though, damn banger of a card. Keep your eyes glued on the YouTube channel because I'll be uploading more post-fight stuff as well as, pre-fight stuff for next week's Bellator card. But guys, Angel, that's not it. There's more MMA this week. Well, next week. On
Crazy.
A Wednesday.
What? A Wednesday?
A Wednesday card. I'm not sure you heard about this.
What time, Josh?
Pre-taped Wednesday card.
Fuck.
Yeah. One Championship making their TNT debut. And dude, it's a banger of a fight card, my man. it's a straight up banger. Adriano Moraes taking on Demetrious Mighty Mouse Johnson for the 135-pound championship strap. Obviously, DJ getting his first title challenge. He won the one flyweight Grand Prix. However, now he's taking on the champ and Adriano Moraes. In the co-main event, they got Eddie Alvarez. They got a lot of fights in this card. But let's go and start off with the main event, my man. With him, we got DJ challenging for his first strap over there at one.
Dude, man, how about it, man? It's super exciting, man. I mean, he's back at it again, back in a championship position. Doesn't matter where he's at, UFC, Bellator, ONE. He'll always make it to that, man. In my opinion, probably the greatest of all time, if arguably one of the greatest, if not the greatest. I one of my favorite fighters, if not my favorite fighter. Every time we talk about this, man, I just light up because I am such a big fan of this guy. I can't hide it. It puts a smile on my face seeing this guy. Broke my heart when he got traded. When the first official trade happened in the UFC, which I still can't believe that was a thing that happened. And
yeah,
we ended up getting, what was it, Ben Askren in return, and we got rid of who else did we get? We got one other fighter, Ben Askren, and who else?
No, it was only Ben Askren.
So we got rid of Sage Northcutt and Demetrious Johnson to get like 2 years of Ben Askren. Okay, great. But yeah, man. My excitement is unparalleled, man.
Yeah, man. I'm really hyped. I'm really excited to see DJ back, dude. DJ, like you said, arguably the greatest of all time. I mean, you and I we talked about GOAT conversations like a couple years ago, whenever we did episode 100, I've always said Fedor's number one. I think DJ's number two, in my opinion. That's going to piss off a lot of people because, John Jones, and I get that argument, and I also get Anderson, I get GSP. For me, that's my top five is Fedor, DJ, probably Anderson, GSP, and then John. So yeah, man, it's nice seeing him back. I think he's gonna get the dub. Adriano Moraes, he's a very good fighter. However, he's also kind of inconsistent. I mean, he just did get the title. He's taken 2 years off. He's had a couple of losses over there in one. However, I will say they've only been, split decisions. 3 losses in his career. He's 3 judges' scorecards away from being, what would it be, 21-0? So we'll see what happens, man. I think DJ's got it in the bag, though. Co-main event, though, Eddie Alvarez taking on Lurie Leprecious. Dude, this is Alvarez's kind of chance to go ahead and get in the title contention over there in one. He's had 2 fights canceled. He had a brutal start to his career over there in one. Timothy Nonashakin beating the shit out of him, honestly. And then nearly got finished by Edward Foley-Lang before getting the submission out of nowhere. So, man, what do you think about Alvarez moving over there and trying to get back into win contention?
When he first made it in there, man, they were putting him in hard, man. They gave him some tough motherfuckers who made him work for it. I mean, he lost when he first got there, dude, to a guy who I probably no one even knew outside of the UFC. I had to say people who probably watch one, and even then, some people in one probably didn't know who he was.
Yeah, he was not a highly ranked guy in one. That's why, some people that don't know, they're like, oh man, they threw him to the wolves against this Russian kid. He was 12-3.
He's a heavy-handed dude. Out. He's a heavy-handed too, dude. You gotta give him credit. The guy is a heavy-handed guy. He does have a lot of early first-round knockouts win.
He had two losses in his last 3 fights whenever he fought Eddie. So it's and both of them were finishes, knockouts. So it's not like they were throwing him to some wolves. But yeah, I see your point.
Yeah. I mean, it was they threw a heavy-handed guy at him, and maybe they're like, maybe we can get something out of it. But Eddie did coming back and getting a first-round submission win real quick, and now he's fighting another guy who I've heard his name before, Josh, but I can't pinpoint where I associate it with.
Edward Foley-Lang, I believe former you're talking about Lurie Leprecious.
Yeah, Leprecious, yeah.
Leprecious has kind of been one of the stars for one. He's
young.
Fought and beat a lot of dudes. His only loss is to Christian Lee, who I believe is the champ right now. He also beat Murat Gavrov, who I'd say relatively known. He's just been one of those one homegrown guys, really.
That's what it is. A really young dude, 25 years young. Taking on Eddie, man. I mean, if he beats Eddie here, I mean, what can't he do, right? The title's in his eyes again, and like you said, Eddie will be in title position at 37 years old. Just turned 37 at the start of this year. Mm-hmm. How much do you think the Underground King has left for us, Josh?
I've really thought he's looked washed since going to one. Not trying to be disrespectful. He just kind of looked that way. I don't know how much he has left in the tank. I don't think he'll win the title over there in one, but I think he'll be a consistent enough guy to stay in contention, if that makes any sense.
Uh-huh.
So, I mean, we'll see what happens though. But dude, who gives it? I mean, I respect Eddie, one of the greatest lightweights of all time. DJ, in your eyes, the greatest of all time. My eyes, one of the greatest of all time. But though, just back to those 2 GOATs, who gives a flying fuck when they got Rurug opening up the card? Rurug,
right. My boy Umar King,
going 3-0 this Wednesday, my guy. Just came off a win of Elaine Nagani 2 months ago. He's back in the cage, ready to beat up another fool. The boy's back. What you think?
Oh, dude, I'm excited, man. I just wanted to see him to continue to grow, continue getting better. Like his MMA career is extremely young. I mean, he's literally 2 fights in. He has to fast track himself a little bit. He's 29 years old right now. His birthday was last month. He was 28 at the start of the year. I mean, it's not like a major difference or anything, but kind of just continue to grow, man. Learn the game, and he's in a promotion that can set him up decently well to grow and get better. I feel if they don't decide to give him any crazy match. Obviously, the one that I did think would have been with the Marcus Buchecha matchup, which would have been rough for him because obviously, well, we know what We know the name. If you know about jiu-jitsu and if you know anything about it, you know, or if you've even heard, if you hear any jiu-jitsu talk, you heard the name Marcus Buchecha before.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, luckily he didn't end up getting that matchup.
Mm-hmm.
Because that guy
Yeah,
still
man.
had to fight for one at some point. Actually, he got 2 fights canceled this year. He was supposed to fight Umar, and then he was supposed to fight G1 Kang,
Mm-hmm.
who's also 5-0.
Yeah, and also, dude, Rugerug, let's go back to this real quickly. That dude's, I'll ask you this. Over or under? 3 more fights before he's one champ. Heavyweight champ.
You think so? I mean, I don't know, dude.
I'm going to...
I'm gonna go over. I'm gonna go over.
Well, I'd take 3 fights.
I'm gonna go over. I'm gonna go over. I can see it but I'll go over.
Fair enough, man. I
don't
think so.
I don't think it'll be in the next 2 years, if I'm fair with you.
The one heavyweight division's so terrible, though. I think you're underestimating.
I know it is, but regardless, you know,
Okay.
you know, they can bring people in, stuff can change, and you know, maybe he's, like I said, he's very young to the game. It doesn't mean he can't get a bad matchup with someone who could take advantage of him very well.
Fair enough. We'll see. But as far as that goes, man, gonna be a fun card Wednesday, fun card tonight for Bellator. So yeah, man, it's awesome. But before we move on to the next topic, my guy, I want to talk to you about an amazing sponsor of the show, Rogue Energy. Rogue Energy was founded in January 2017 to be the best drink in the world. They've developed a premium nootropic stack in the form of delicious energy and focus drink. It's designed to replace unhealthy canned energy drinks, coffee, and even traditional pre-workouts. Rogue Energy is sugar-free, dissolved with vitamin, antioxidants, and nootropics. It was designed for the emerging professional competitive gaming market and it continues to have fantastic carryover and success with students, athletes, entrepreneurs, and anyone looking to optimize their mental and physical performance. If you win 10% off your order, use the code SOUNDOFF at checkout. That's code SOUNDOFF for 10% off of all your energy needs. So, Angel, I'm not sure you heard about there's a little bit of NBA news going on, my man. So you know Michael Rappaport, right?
No, I know him very well.
Yeah, he was on Friends.
He was on a lot of shows.
He was on Prison Break. He's a comedian.
Yes.
And apparently soon to be Street Fighter, Michael Rappaport.
Really?
This is the greatest story all year. So I'm just gonna go ahead and read. So you guys don't know, Kevin Durant is a 2-time NBA champion, multiple-time All-Star, currently leading the Brooklyn Nets to likely a championship. We'll talk about them in a minute on about their roster and so on and so forth. And apparently in between winning rings or attempting to, he's taken some time out to go after Michael Rappaport, sending him a DM stating, "You a bitch," in response to Rappaport's criticism of his interview on the NBA on TNT tonight. Rappaport responded, quote, "Just do the fucking interview, and if you're upset about something they said, say something. Up there looking like you were, quote, gonna cry and shit." KD then responded back, "I did the interview, you dickhead. Tell your baby daddy Chuck to be better at his job and frame his questions better. He gave me 2 options for that dumbass question, yes or no." This then prompted, Rappaport to send something, just a photo back in response. And Katie then dropped the greatest line of all time. "I heard it all before, you cunt. Chuck doesn't need you as security, you pale, pasty, cum-guzzling bitch. I swear I'm going to spit in your face when I see your dirty ass about your life on." And from there on, it's Katie challenging Michael Rappaport to a street fight, and Rappaport agreeing. These leaked DMs then came out this past week. So, Angel, who would you pick in a fight between Michael Rappaport and Kevin Durant?
Bro. Rappaport from the streets, bro. You don't know this. He really is. I'm picking Michael Rappaport.
I'm also going to take Michael Rappaport. He may be 50, but age is only a number.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, man, it's hilarious drama. It just came out. They fined him for his comments, $50,000. But I don't know, man. That's the most likable thing Katie's ever done, was saying that shit, because that was hilarious. But moving on, speaking of the Brooklyn Nets, in between dealing with the Kevin Durant drama of calling Michael Rappaport a cum-guzzling bitch, they made a big signing over this past week, signing multiple-time All-Star LaMarcus Aldridge leading to talk of Katie's buying another ring, that there's no point even playing the season, that it's just ridiculous. Man, do you think I gotta be honest, I thought this signing was a little bit overblown in terms of its effect. Now obviously it's a huge signing because he's, on paper multiple time All-Star, and he's had a lot of success in San Antonio and so on and so forth. What were your thoughts on the signing as far as them kind of pushing towards that ring?
It's another big signing. It's another star on the team, dude. I mean, like I told you, if you take away the age and what year it is, and just show those names, you're probably like, holy fuck, how is this even fair to be allowed to even play in the NBA? How is this team even allowed to be entered into the NBA, right?
Mm-hmm.
But obviously, if you look at what's going on with all those players' careers, it's kind of a different story. But I mean, LaMarcus Aldridge is still at a very good point in his career and is still performing pretty well. I know it's a really good pickup. It's a guy who I feel like you never hear him in any drama. You never hear him complain about anything. He just kind of comes in, does his work, and gets out and plays the game. And I think that's kind of a good thing to have in the mixture of all those guys with personalities.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man. And as far as that goes, I'm not as big on it in terms of everybody else. I think it's a great signing because all he needs to be is depth. However, I do think some people are overblowing how major of a difference he's going to be. He's going to take a lot of minutes away from Jordan, which they've been moving away from him this entire time anyway. We'll see. All he's going to be is depth, though, but quite frankly, that's all the Nets need. I personally have been way more big on the Blake Griffin signing because Blake Griffin seemingly aged back 3 years whenever he signed with the Nets, dude. He's not putting up insane numbers, but you can just in the time he's playing, how big of a difference he's making on the court. So, let's go ahead and start this conversation. Do you think that kind of the narrative that the Nets just have it in the bag, do you think that's kind of overblown, or do you think there's a chance for a Lakers, a Clippers, a Suns perhaps to come out and pull it out instead? Because from the way everybody's speaking, it's kind of that there's no point in playing the postseason.
I mean, dude, it's gonna be a crazy postseason. I mean, the Sixers are still there, the Bucks are still there. Shit, the Heat just came out of nowhere. Obviously the Nets are a threat, but hey man, we still got LeBron and AD, and now what's his name? Andre Drummond. Because all the names kind of blended in a little bit there in my head. I don't know why. And you have the Clippers too, dude. I mean, there's still an extremely competitive league here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man. And moving on to that kind of discussion, Lakers did pick up this past week Andre Drummond. Obviously, it's been a big sweepstakes as a seed to where he's going to go. There were rumors he was going to go to the Nets. Thank fuck he didn't. And he's going to Lakers, man. And it's going to be really interesting, man. I think that, as far as it goes, the Lakers, they've been needing somebody big, man, because that team, they got depth over the offseason, but now that AD and Bron's been out, it's pretty much just been pointless watching their games. But now they got Drummond, and they're back in contention. Clippers have been making moves as well, picking up Rondo, trading Lou Williams over this past week. And the Clippers also just picked up another person who's, escaping me. Their name's escaping me. But Clippers have been making moves, man, as well. Clippers signed DeMarcus Cousins. That's who they signed.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, man. Overall, it's gonna be fun, man. It's gonna be fun. Shout out the Suns, ranked number 2. Coming out of nowhere. I honestly had no idea. So
it's been like that for a while now. Just so you know, a few months now.
No, I believe it, man. But I've not been paying attention to the rankings at all, unfortunately.
Dude, it's been hard to keep up with the NBA, man, now that the UFC started, and so much been going on with MMA. At the end of the day, though, I mean, their primary focus is combat sports, so, everything else is kind of taken aback, kind of gone on the back burner.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man. So as far as that goes, though, it's still very interesting. We are, one full month away from the playoffs.
Is that really what it is? Man.
I believe so. This is the last full month of basketball before playoff time. Season's ending early, and we'll see what's gonna happen, man. It's gonna be a lot of fun as far as sleeper teams, dude. The Heat, they came out of nowhere. I'm excited to see them again. Exactly, again. I'm not a believer in the Bucks at all. Don't even talk about the Bucks. I have negative shits to give. Just because we know what's gonna happen when they make it to the postseason. We know what's gonna happen. But that being said, man, is there anything else you want to talk about this before we move on?
No, not yet, man. I feel like we'll see how the season keeps going, playing out. I mean, injuries can still happen. Not trying to be negative, but they do happen kind of late into the season. We'll see. We will have awards coming up at some point in the next few weeks, and then to top that off, I mean, shit. Hopefully by that time it'll be playoff time, and we'll get to talk about that. And obviously, playoff basketball is very different from regular season basketball.
Yeah, basically nothing alike. I mean, it's very interesting to watch. LeBron, obviously, playoff mode's known for him, but it's pretty much true around the league. It doesn't matter how you do in the regular season, for the most part. A lot of these dudes just coast. And not to pick on any particular team, but there's a one seed in a certain conference that I'm not going to point out that I think is that team that's overexcelling in the regular season that's going to get absolutely bodied come postseason time. Totally not going to name names here. It's just a team that's been bounced out in the first round every single year and has changed nothing at this point. But that, whatever. Regardless, though, I'm hyped for the postseason. I mean, I've been a little bit not paying as much attention, but I'm getting back into it over the last few weeks in terms of basketball, just because, like you said, with MMA going on, it's kind of hard to pay attention. But to go ahead and wrap up the show, my guy, we do have a quick recap over the past weekend. This last weekend, I should say. It happened, man. Dillian Whyte knocking out Alexander Povetkin in the rematch. Heartbreaking to watch. Povetkin looked different from, the word go. He looked slower and kind of what I thought was going to happen in terms of like his COVID effects. He got really bad, man. I mean, we kind of know that he's older, so that's a very real possibility. I mean, he's 40, 41, 42. We knew that was a possibility. He looked pretty bad from the word go. And Dillian Whyte just dominated him, getting the knockout in the fourth round. What were your thoughts, my man?
It was heartbreaking, man. It really was. I thought that early on it just looked rough. I think from the get-go I already had a bad feeling. I mean, I had faith for the man, but it ended up going like that, sadly. Just heartbreaking shit, dude. It really is.
Absolutely heartbreaking shit indeed. Just pure domination. It wasn't fun. Like there's no other way to say it. It just felt bad watching because Povetkin, we know that I did not like his rematch to begin with. I was kind of hoping he was going to retire. Just because getting a knockout win, such a huge underdog, such an amazing comeback. But obviously he was champ. He kind of had to defend that belt, and there was a rematch clause. And in the Rumble on the Rock, man, that's what they dubbed the fight. Just pure domination from Dillian Whyte. It kind of sucked to see, but at the end of the day, it is what it is. This is the fight game. In the words of Jake Paul, this is the fucking fight game. But yeah, man, I mean, moving on, as far as that goes, is there anything else we talk about on the show before we close out?
No, man, I think we banked it out. It was a banger of a show. I don't know, man, just excited for next week, and then the week after that, and the week after that, and for the rest of the year.
Yeah, man, it's there's been bangers on top of bangers on top of bangers lately. We hope you guys enjoyed this episode as always. We'll be back next week. Next week will be a bit of a longer show because it's actually going to be UFC and so on and so forth. But we hope you guys enjoyed. As always, go ahead and give some love to our sponsors, Manscaped, Rogue Energy, and don't think I forgot about Monkey Knife Fight. You can go ahead and use code Courtside, and they'll match whatever you put down on Monkey Knife Fight. Baseball just started up, so I have to like it for the first 2 weeks, as I always do, where I pay a lot of close attention and then don't watch anything else. So you can go ahead and put some money down on baseball, on NBA, on the UFC when it comes back next week, whatever, on Monkey Knife Fight. With the code Courtside, they'll match it. But as always, guys, hope you guys enjoyed. I'm at Josh Evanoff on Twitter. He's at Angelshake_01 at Courtside Sound1 on Twitter. Outside of that, hope you guys enjoyed. Peace and bye, grease. Mouse click.
Banger.